Okay. So this week we have esports team meeting. Either this week or next week. We have game jam coming up, and we have game programming club. If you're interested, email this person. Patrick he's the head of our game programming department here, and he handles all this stuff. We have a Discord for this stuff as well. And yeah, so the esports team is, everybody in here knows what esports is, right? So they're competitive and they play against other colleges and stuff here in the area, and they do other tournaments. And they have we have a team, but then we also have alternates. We have a backup team and stuff like that.
Is there a club that just plays games for fun?
Yes, that is that team. That is that one, and I think they also do that in programming club. They play games and stuff. Game jam. Game jam's cool. What that is it's it's a bunch of people that get together and make a game in a very short period of time. It's usually not a very big game, something kind of small or whatever, but it's still a game, and you still get to work as a team, and it's a good experience, right? I think what he told me this morning was game jam's happening this Friday. I can't remember, but it's usually in this room and the next room. Usually a lot of people come for that. It's pretty cool. Game programming club, I think that happens on Fridays as well. Again, check with Patrick here. And then we're going to be having a bunch more events and stuff happening this year. I'll try my best to keep you guys updated. Definitely join the Instagram. And that's going to be here. The Richland College Gaming Instagram. Definitely join there. And as you guys know, we also have a Discord. The way to get onto the Discord. I'm just going to Google our program here, but you're looking for this weird, it's our old website, and the Discord link is at the bottom. That takes a second to load, because I think they put us, since it's the old website, they put us on the backup server. Other events that are going to be happening this year are going to be, we have a game showcase event. Where we show off some of the games that we've made. And then we have speakers from the industry, and we have food and stuff. Just kind of the whole game department gets together, and there's a lot of us. There's somewhere around 400 of you guys now, which is bananas, but it's really cool. I need to log off as Paige Smith here. All right, everybody got that? Okay. Today, we're going to be covering 3 things, okay? We're going to do a little Photoshop, we're going to do a little VFX, and we're going to do a little sound. Okay? Because those are things that you're going to need in the game. So, first and foremost, launch Photoshop on your computer. Alright, so what are some of the things that we're going to need Photoshop for in the video games industry? Well, a couple positions here. Definitely use Photoshop if you are a concept artist. And concept artists can do weapons, props, environments, characters. All right. These are people that draw in 2D. 3D artists will be using Photoshop for textures. All right. Remember when we did Spider-Man? He had a texture. Somebody custom painted that. And the texture for the gun last time that we pulled in, somebody custom painted that. And then also visual effects artists. Actually, that's a double click. So these guys like do textures, animations, and stuff through Photoshop. Yes, you can do animations through Photoshop, which is kind of crazy. So these are 3 examples of artists and things that use Photoshop. How many people in here have used Photoshop before? Okay, that's good. All right. Let's go ahead and create new here. And if you guys have used Photoshop before, that's awesome. Okay. I'm just going to talk through some stuff here. There's some settings at the top where you can go through and you can click kind of some pre-saved settings. Looking at some of this stuff, it's like this one's 3 by 2 inches, 300 ppi, which is pixels per inch. There's some standards when doing these pixels per inch. I think what they said was like 75 is like good for like web. 150 is good for like documents and stuff, and then like 300 is good for like game stuff, you know. You can change from inches to pixels here. We go ahead and keep it on inches for now. That's fine. You can change the background color. So let's just go ahead and keep it 7 by 5 inches. 300 ppi is fine. Actually, let's change that to 150. Change that to 150. And we'll keep the orientation landscape. And go ahead and hit create. Okay.
150 for the resolution?
Yeah, 150 for the resolution, 7 by 5 inches. All right. All right, so most of the time, so let's cover a couple tools here, all right? So on the left-hand side, you have a bar with a ton of tools, all right? You'll notice right now on the right side, you have a layers tab that you're in. You've got a layer here, background layer, okay? So right now it's a background layer, which means, and it's locked, which means you can't really do anything with it. If I try and paint, well, I guess I can paint on the background layer. But I can't like move that above another layer. So let's leave background layer as is, and let's go ahead and make a new layer. So down at the bottom of the layers panel, you've got a little button that says create new layer. Go ahead and click that. Create new layer. All right. You can also go to, I believe you can go to layer, new layer as well. Let's go ahead and rename that layer to front layer. You just click on it. So most of you guys probably can understand this, but I'm going to explain it anyway. Layers are like the concept of stacking pieces of paper on top of each other. Let's go ahead and just click the paintbrush for a second on the left-hand side, and just write your name on that layer. Okay? Just write your name on that layer. Paintbrush is on the left-hand side. Looks like a paintbrush. You can do it. And yes, on the at the very bottom there's the color swatches. You have two of them. Right now they're black and white. You can click on the one that's in the front is the one that you're currently using. You can change the different colors of whatever it is that you're painting. You can also paint, click the checkbox at the bottom called web colors. And those colors give you more kind of a standard swatches to choose from, which is cool. Solid web colors as opposed to like just completely open palette here. And then in there you've got a bunch of other options. It tells you all the color coding for whatever color you have selected, and then also the swatch, which is this hash swatch, which you can use in many different occasions when you need to know exactly what color you're using. You use this swatch code will be used. So you can paint in different colors. You can also right click while you have the paintbrush selected, and I use this often. You have different brush types from like soft edges to hard edges. You can also increase the size of your brush and the hardness. Okay, so hardness is like the edge, right? So if you paint with a hard edge, you can see it's different than kind of a fuzzy edge, right? All right, so we've been working on this top layer here. On the right-hand side, there's a little eyeball. I'm sorry, to the left-hand side of the layer, there's a little eyeball. See that little eyeball? Go ahead and click that eyeball. All right, so that eyeball turns off the layer, okay? It's like show and hide, right? And as you can see, when we turn off that layer, you don't see anything, right? You just see the background layer behind it. So when you paint this top layer, it does not paint through to the background layer. And if I was to make yet another layer and do a different color and turn that one off, it would not paint through to the other layer. Okay? So you can make as many layers as you want. You can name them different things. And there are all kinds of different kind of cool functions that you can do with these layers. By the way, anything you want to learn in Photoshop is Googleable or YouTubeable. You want to learn how to do this? Google YouTube, your best friend. Okay? You can also create text. So there's a little text tool here. This is also your best friend. Go ahead and create some text. Click the text tool. Everybody knows how to do text. All right. Now a cool trick with the text is I want you to just write some text and then double click your text to select it. Right click your text and then double click it to select it. Now when you have that selected, up at the top you can see a bunch of different text options. You can see the font, the I don't even know what you call that, regular, italicized, bold, etc. So some font options. You can change the size. You can change it from sharp, crisp, strong, smooth. You can also change the alignment, so from center, left, or right, color, and some other options here, some different styles, which is kind of cool. You can change it to like arc, or arch, or flag, all kinds of cool little options, wave, fisheye, that's kind of cool. Never saw that one before. There's a 3D option too, which I've never really used. I'm just gonna undo that. I don't even know how to use that. Looks like something that I really don't want to mess with, to be honest. yeah, that's something. If you want to do some 3D text, definitely look into that on your own time. We're not gonna do that in here. Oh yeah, so I was gonna tell you. So double click your text, make sure it's selected. Now change the font size to like, I don't know, 30. And what I want you to do is select at the top. Mine says Myriad Pro in the font type. Select that those words, and then use the arrow keys on your keyboard. With everything selected here, you can cycle through all the fonts that are in the massive font list in Photoshop. See that? So you have your text selected, and then you select the fonts, and I bet similar, if you select the other options, you can, yep, you can up and down on those as well. Actually, that didn't do anything. Anyway, you can cycle through the fonts here. And say we want another font, okay? Say that we want something that's not there. Fire up Chrome real quick and go to Google and type in free fonts, okay? And let's go to one of my favorite ones, which is defont.com. Go to defont.com. Defont.com is really cool because you can, let's do a search for, let's say we're making a game about, I don't know, Ghost. So let's search like ghostly fonts, okay? And where it says preview, let's say your ghost is called your game is called Ghostbusters. Alright, so you can put in your preview text right there. Alright. And I don't really know what the Ghostbusters font looks like, but let's grab this one. PW Ghost by Peaks Web Design. That looks pretty cool. Grab that bad boy. There's a download button. Alright, this one right here. PW Ghost by Peaks Web Design. Click download. Let's download that font. Alright, so down at the bottom here on your little taskbar, above the taskbar in Windows, you'll see that PWG Ghost text. There's a little arrow, click on that, and there's a Show in Folder button. Show in Folder. Down at the bottom, there's a little arrow with your text, alright? If you are not in Chrome, you can go into the little dots or settings or whatever and just go to Downloads. You want to go to your Downloads folder, okay, and find your font in the Downloads folder. Go ahead and extract that. Right-click Extract. If you can't find that ghostly font, just grab any font. It doesn't matter. Pick something so we can move on. Download it and extract it in your Downloads folder. Alright, to extract, right-click on it, extract all. Right-click, extract all. Any font, doesn't matter. And when you extract it, you're going to see something called, it's going to pull out a file called True Type Font. Okay, True Type Font. And what we need to do is move this file into the fonts directory in Windows. So to do that, tap the Windows button on your keyboard. Then you want to type in font. And at the very top, you have a fonts folder that pops up. And it's got all the fonts for Windows in there. And what we're going to do is we're going to drag the font from that Downloads folder into our fonts directory. Okay, all you do is just grab it, drag, and drop right in. And it will install the font into your Windows font directory. The cool thing about that is Photoshop, which you can then go into. You can then double click your text, and you can click the little drop down on the font. And if you just move your mouse over any font and type the letter P, it's going to zoom to all the, well, it should have. Didn't do that. It's really not my friend today, man. Oh, PW, there you go. You guys are right. PW Ghost Medium. So you can just, instead of searching through all the fonts, you can just kind of start to type it, and you'll find it, then you select it, and then boom, now your text is that font. So when you guys are creating like the logo for your game, or the game name, or any other text in your game, that's how you get a custom font to, you know, put in there, or whatever. And when you're finished, click the little checkbox in the upper right. And now here we go, hello world, in our font here, right?
I'm trying to get back to the thing I already typed, like to edit it, and I'm double clicking on it.
Yeah, so one of the ways that you can do it is you'll notice in your layers, when you create a font, or when you type stuff, you have a font layer, right? So two things you can do with this. One, well, actually you can do a lot with that, but two things I'm going to show you is, one, you can rename it, right? So whatever words you type are going to automatically show up as the name of the layer. And then the other thing you can do is there's a T. If you double click that T, it's going to select your text. Okay, if you double click the T, it's going to select your text. And once the text is selected, you can do anything that you want with it.
Mine doesn't have a T. It looks like a normal layer.
Make some new text. Make some new text. To make text, you click the T here, right? All right. We got Hello World at the top. Another cool thing I want to show you is shapes. So below the font, below the font is a shape tool. We have squares, rounded corners, circles, polygons, lines, and a custom tool. Go ahead and create some shapes.
You could alt-click that to switch shapes.
Oh, that's cool. I did not know that. Go ahead and create some shapes. So as you can see, we got some shapes here. Now, so let's go ahead and select, as we're creating shapes here, you'll see in the shape options at the top, there's a bunch of different options that we have, okay? You have fill, you have stroke. Fill is the color that's inside, stroke is what's going on the outside, and the 1px next to it is the thickness of the edge. So if we mess with that, change the fill color to like blue, and then change the stroke to black, and then change the thickness of the 1px to like 10, okay? Then make a new shape, and you'll see the difference. Okay, I've now got an edge that's black, and it's a lot thicker, and the inside is blue. Okay, so you can change the way your stuff appears. Now, one thing that I use often is the line. I use that line often to do a variety of different things. And one cool thing about the line is, say you're like creating like some sort of a document where you need to show somebody how to do stuff. I'm sure you guys have probably seen that. There's a little settings sprocket to the right in the settings. There are arrowheads that you can put on the start and end of your line, so you can like have things that like point to each other and stuff. See how I'm doing that? Little arrows. Those are pretty handy. And you can also change the thickness of the arrow here. So if I change that to 10, well, it looks like 3 is the max. You can also change like dotted lines. You can make things like dotted lines. All kinds of different options you can do here. How do I do that? Let's make that nothing. That's interesting. Yeah, so you guys can play with that. You can do all kinds of different stuff. I thought we could actually... Interesting. Man, that's weird. I've been able to make these arrows a lot bigger. Oh, weight maybe? There we go. So if you adjust the weight, you can make things a lot bigger. As you can see there, you can make some big arrows. Now, what I want you to do is there is a whole lot of other options we can do on any one of these layers, and I want to show you some stuff. So go ahead and I want you to grab, like, I don't know, shift select about 5 layers. It doesn't matter which ones, just shift select about 5 layers. So you hold shift and you can select them. You can hold control and you can select one at a time and add to your selection, or you can hold shift and then just click down and it will add them all. You can right click and there's a ton of options in here. You can duplicate, delete, export. You can do all kinds of stuff. You can merge layers together, but one of the things I want you to do is there is a create new group at the bottom. Go ahead and click create new group with layers selected. And what that does is it takes all those layers and it puts them into a folder, which is a grouped layer. A folder, which is a grouped layer. And you can rename that. So, my group. Right? And that way you can organize your layers. So you have a crap ton of layers. You can organize them in a way that, you know, is more organized for you. And there's a little arrow. I can like expand that. I can see what's in my different layer groups. Now, one thing that's cool is go ahead and click on your text. So just click the arrow tool, which I believe the shortcut, keyboard shortcut is V. So if you tap V, then click your text, it's going to zoom to the text layer. And to the right of the name of the text is like a blank gray space. Double click that. And that's going to bring up your layer options. Okay? And you can do a ton of things with your layer options. But we're going to mess with this text. So as you can see on the left-hand side, we have bevel and emboss, stroke, inner shadow, inner glow, satin, color overlay, gradient, pattern, outer glow, drop shadow. Alright, go ahead and click through each one of those options one by one and look at how it affects the text. So bevel and emboss kind of gives it a 3D effect, kind of pops it out. And then once you select bevel and emboss, you have all the bevel and emboss options. You can mess with the depth, you can do all kinds of stuff. And that's how it works for each one of these other options. So if I turn that off and give it a stroke, it outlines it, then I click stroke, and I can change the size of the stroke. Right now it's done on the inside, so I can change that on the outside, and I can increase that. I can also change the color of the stroke as well to blue or yellow, whatever I want. I'm going to keep it, actually that's fine. You can also change the opacity, so you can make it like see-through or less. Drop shadow is pretty cool. It's exactly what it sounds like. You're basically giving it a drop shadow, which is super cool. There's all kinds of options in there, from size and spread, all kinds of cool stuff. And this is how you make your text really cool. I can also do a gradient overlay, which is really cool. You can click on your gradient and you can make multiple gradient colors. Like you can make your text be like different colors on the inside by doing that. Outer glow is pretty cool.
How do you get outer glow to work?
Well, right now it's white and you have a white background, but if you made it like a different color other than white, spread is something that you want to use for that. Typically, outer glow is good when you want to like, I'll show you like a really good way to make that stand out. If I double click my background layer, it turns to a regular layer, and I'm just gonna paint that black. Let's see, paint that black, and I'll double click my text again, and I'll put on outer glow, and as you can see, it really shows up now. And I can do spread on it, size. I don't like that noise, but there you go. As you can see, outer glow shows up. Glow is usually good for like kind of darker backgrounds, you know. And yeah, I typically like to do like more of a like a yellow. Alright, so the last thing I want to show you here in Photoshop is the, you also have filters. These filters can do all kinds of things. There's just so many different options in here. One of the filters that you can use is like a blur. And you can blur stuff, you can sharpen stuff. You can make some clouds. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy stuff in here. I mean, when you're using Photoshop, though, it's always good to, like, go in. Like, right now, we're just going over Photoshop and just showing how to do stuff. But it's always good to go in, you know, kind of with, like, with an actual task in mind. You know, you got to create something. Photoshop's also good for, like, editing. So, like, say you have an image, but you want to add, like, a character texture, but you want to add a tattoo, okay? You can go, like, get a tattoo from online, and you can, like, bring that in. Like, if I have some tattoos here, I could save this image from the web and then pull it into Photoshop, and I can pull that onto another image. In fact, let's do that. Close out of your current image, and we'll just do an example of that real quick. So you still have Photoshop open here. Let's go ahead and just go to Google, type in tattoo. And here's a good picture. Let's grab somebody with that has their arm in the picture, and we'll just give them another tattoo. My daddy will kill you. All right. That's a thing. Yeah, so just grab an arm or a leg, and what I want you to do with that is right click on it, save image as, save it to the desktop, and then all you need to do to get it in Photoshop is drag and drop right into Photoshop. So once you save that image out, drag it into Photoshop, and now we got our image here. So grab an image, pull it in. Now what I want you to do is, once you got your image in here, go back to Google, and we're going to change the search to tattoo, try tattoo PNG. Tattoo PNG, and pick a tattoo with a white background. Any tattoo, doesn't matter. We're going to put it on this guy or girl, don't know. So let's do, man, I'm tempted to do that Playboy bunny, but I'm not going to do it. It doesn't matter. Just as long as it has a white background. This one's fine. Oh my god, so cliche. Yeah. Save image as to your desktop again. And what we're going to do is pull that right into Photoshop, drag and drop again, and use the sizing tool to size it on kind of where you want to put it on this person's arm. Now, when you use the sizing tool, if you hold Alt while you size, it will scale all of it from all edges. Yes?
I can't drag it into Photoshop.
Use a different image.
It's the same one you use.
Impossible, sir. Also, Shift will do the same thing, or do a different thing. Control does like a skew. So you can kind of manipulate the image. If you hold Shift and Alt, it scales it proportionally, which is always good. I always like to keep things proportioned. So when you're done and you're happy with it, click the little check marks. And now let's go to our layer over here. And when we have our layer selected, our new tattoo layer, there's a drop down above there that says normal on it. I want you to change that to screen. Oh, that didn't do it. Sorry, change that to darken. Actually, what you can do is you can select, you can just click the drop down and click normal, and then mouse, and then, use your arrow keys to cycle through all the different blending modes and check out all the different blending modes. So again, the way you do that is you just select the layer with the tattoo, then click the drop down and just click any one of them, and then when the drop down is now selected, use the arrow keys to cycle through all the different blending modes until you find one you like that kind of matches the skin tone or whatever. And now you got it in there. So you can blend a lot of different images in a lot of different ways over a lot of different images using those blending modes. All right. Photoshop, so that's the basics of Photoshop. It can do so much stuff, like so much crazy stuff. Like, in fact, let's do something else that's kind of cool. I'm going to zoom in on this pineapple here. Zoom in on like a part of your tattoo that you think's kind of cool that's kind of over near a blank space of skin. And my background layer here is of this skin. I want to see if this works.
But Adobe won't let me drag any photos into
Okay.
They're all PNG files, but it keeps saying not PNG files.
Choosing a different file. Can you help him? Alright, so select the background layer here with your tattoo in it. And we're going to use the clone stamp tool. Okay, it's below the paintbrush. It's called the clone stamp tool. And the way the clone stamp tool works is pretty cool. You want to make sure that when you click the clone stamp tool, right click and make sure your brush is big enough. You know, I'm changing mine to about 90. Make sure it's kind of big. And then what you do is you just hold Alt and click anywhere on the tattoo, then move over to the skin, and then you can paint that same tattoo to the right or left or any other area of the skin. So if I wanted to duplicate a tattoo from one part of the skin to another, do that. Make sure you have the right layer selected that has the base image on it. And what that's going to do is it's going to paint onto that. I'll do that again. So I click my clone stamp tool, click the clone stamp. If you hold Alt and click on anywhere on that tattoo, you can see it automatically starts to come up with it under the brush, and then you can paint that exact tattoo alternately. Another thing that you can do is you can paint that on a new layer. So like I can make like a new layer, and so I'll hold Alt on the background layer, then I select my new layer, and paint it on that. So that way you're not painting on the same layer. You can have it on a separate layer in case you want to not keep that tattoo, or maybe you think you might want to get rid of it later or whatever. I know I'm moving really fast, you guys, but a lot, you know, maybe 5 of you guys are going to end up doing Photoshop stuff in here, so the people that are good at it, you know. Any questions on Photoshop while we're here? Anybody like got anything real quick while we're here that like, man, I wonder how you do that?
I made a masterpiece.
You did make a masterpiece.
I call it Cloud.
Do you add lens flares?
Absolutely, man. Go to filter, where is it? Render lens flare. Filter, render, lens flare. And you have a bunch of different types of lens flares. If you tap H on your keyboard, that is the hand. You can move around to your image. Z is for zoom. Z is zoom in and out. You also have the crop tool, which is cool. You click the crop tool and it creates this like border, and then you can drag and you can drop the edges and crop your image to however you want. And last but not least, let's go ahead and save this image out, okay? Go ahead and go to File, Save As, File, Save As, and this image in Photoshop, when you go to save an image, it has a billion different options, okay? You can save it as a Photoshop file, which saves all the layers, keeps all your layers and edits intact, okay? You can save it as a bitmap, which I don't even know why anybody uses bitmaps anymore. A GIF, which is an old web format. People still use those. You can save it as EPSs, JPEGs, PDF, I guess. Look at that. PNG, TGA, and TIFF. I believe Unreal takes JPEGs, PNGs, it definitely takes TGAs. But in general, when you stick, okay, so in general, the two that you're going to use the most often are JPG. If something doesn't have transparency, you're going to use JPG. If it has transparency, which means if one part of your image needs to be see-through, then use PNG. Okay, PNGs are typically a little bit more file size, but it contains the transparency. If you want something a small file size, use a JPEG. So let's go ahead and save this out. And I did JPEG here, and as you can see, when you save out as a JPEG, you have the option to save from like maximum file size all the way to low file size. If you want something crisp and clear, what I recommend is always saving. I just move it to the lowest high, and then just click. I always keep it at baseline standard, and then click save. And then we have our image. And that will go into Unreal without a hitch. Drag and drop. Alright?
Is that how textures are imported?
Yes. Absolutely. Drag and drop right into Unreal. So that's our Photoshop demo for today. You can close out of Photoshop. I just wanted to give you a little taste. Okay? Photoshop is like infinite. It's been around since the dawn of time. I think the dinosaurs were using Photoshop. Not even kidding. So I had mentioned before about the Discord link for joining the Richland College Discord. There's all kinds of stuff up on there. And someone has taken down the Discord. Look at that. So guess you can't get on there. Sorry.
No.
Yeah, you can, or you could have. I'll figure out a way to get that back up. All right, jump over to YouTube real quick. And in the YouTube search, I want you to type who was better in the Super Bowl, J-Lo or Shakira. Just kidding. Don't type that. I want you to type Photoshop game UI. So when we work on a game, all right, as a concept artist, other things these guys are going to be making, or gals, is game UI, right? So what's an example of game UI?
Health bars. Inventory.
Absolutely. Health bars, inventory, ammo,
Abilities.
ability, all that. Yeah, stuff on the front.
Together is the HUD.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm just going to jump on Google here, and I'm going to type in HUD. So this would be an example of a game HUD. And this is created in Photoshop or After Effects. Okay? So then back in
You would drink a lava potion.
in Photoshop, this is a really cool tutorial. If you guys are interested in being a concept artist, I highly recommend you do this tutorial.
Tired of pretzels not
It's called Lava Potion.
being Pop-Tarts toaster pastries? Introducing Pop-Tarts.
Basically,
Hey, you guys,
this is
what's
just
up?
something we're not going to do it today, but it's an additional thing. Kind of shows you how to
We
use some of the
do is we want to add
and paint
K
something that looks cool.
onto the surface of our
Techniques
book.
that
So
are
I'm going to come up to the next layer, hit
easy
delete,
for everybody, but
delete,
this would be an
delete,
example
delete.
of like something that you would create on your HUD that would show like, you know, that's pretty high quality and yeah. So as an additional tutorial to today, if you would like to do this to improve your skills, this would be a good one I would recommend to start with. All right. All right, so let's do some visual effects stuff. Jump into Unreal. Open the Epic Games Launcher. Epic Games Launcher. And let's launch a new project. And this project we're going to call VFX Demo. And we'll do a third person. Alright, so new project, third person, and we're going to call this VFX. Save that to your folder on the D drive. And create. Third person project. Okay. So for this particular class, we are not going to do custom visual effects. What I'm going to have you guys do is pull VFX that already exists from the marketplace. So let's go ahead and do that now. Jump over to the marketplace in your Unreal launcher here. And let's go to visual effects and turn on free and see what we got available.
There's a FX variety pack that's free.
Where's that?
It's already owned.
You already own it. Is that the first one?
FX variety pack. Grab that one.
And the one next to it.
Oh, I'm getting that one. Fire and Flames. Why not?
I grabbed the free one as well. The normally $15 one.
Which one?
One right below the
Oh,
variety.
the Amplify UL. The ULP. I don't know. I have it. All of them.
Yeah, free doesn't suck. Alright, but I want you to add the variety pack, FX variety pack, to your project. VFX demo, add project. So add the VFX variety one to your project. So this one's cool. This one's got some random stuff in it. Let's see. There's also another one. I don't know why it didn't show up, but if you do a search for infinity, do a search for the word infinity. There's one called the Infinity Blade FX. Infinity Blade FX, and that one's free too. Let's go ahead and add that one as well.
I played this game.
Yeah. Go ahead and add that one to your project as well. What's it called? VFX demo.
Wow. Yours started at 100% and then went straight back to 0.
All right. So once you add those two packs, I believe the first one we added was the variety pack, right? All right, jump back into Unreal. And jump back into Unreal, click on Content, and you should see FX Variety Pack. And you can filter it based off of particles systems. Filter it based off of particle systems, and you can start dragging these into your scene. Oh my god.
It loads.
That's a tornado. That's really cool. Take a second to compile the shaders and load the shaders, but that's pretty cool.
Go into the particles.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So drag and drop some of these into the scene from your particle pack here. That's cool, just some simple fire. Maybe you could put that on like a torch or something. There's all kinds of cool little explosions and water thing. I don't know what that is.
That's a summoning circle.
So as you can see, you can pull these effects into your scene. Some other cool stuff that you can do with these effects is, do you remember how we added weapons to the third-person character? In the third-person character screen. Well, one of the things that you can do is you can create you can create a blueprint. So instead of like say you want to this summoning thing here, say I want that to like pop up at some point or do something at some point. You don't want to like do code on this specific object. You don't want to do a blueprint on this specific object. What you want to do is create a blueprint. So right click, create a blueprint, and just call it like an actor or something. Then you can double click that blueprint and you can add, this is a blueprint, and you can add the component of a particle system. For all you coders, you can add particle systems inside blueprints. And now what you do is you drag that blueprint into the scene and the particle system's there. But you also have all the code within the blueprint that does certain stuff at certain time. Does that make sense? To you programmers, that should make some sense. So instead of dragging the actual VFX into the scene, if it needs to do stuff other than just, like, if it's a torch that's just there and lit all the time, you don't need to do a whole lot with it. Actually, to be honest with you, it's probably best to put VFX inside of every blueprint, or to put VFX inside what, like, say you have torches all around your level. You want to put them inside a blueprint and then drag those into the scene. And that way, if later on you need to adjust all the torches in the level, you can just adjust that blueprint or the VFX inside that blueprint, if that makes sense, instead of having to go click on every single torch VFX in the level. Work smarter, not harder, right? Alright, so by this time, the Infinity Blade effect should load. Do the same thing. Click on that folder. Filter by particle system. And this one has a ton of VFX in it. So for this game that we're going to make, we should be able to, I mean, anything that we need, we can get it in here and add it. And if we need to, if we really, really, really need to, we can modify it. And the way you modify things is you just double click on them and it's going to bring up Cascade here, which is the VFX editor, which I'm not going to be going over. If you're interested in visual effects, we have a Visual Effects 1 and 2 class taught by Ashley Lyons here, and he works at Gearbox. So he will teach you how to do visual effects if you're interested. For this class, all we're going to do is use stuff that already exists. And most of the time, we just need some simple stuff. Nothing crazy. Okay, cool. Alright, so now I want to do some sound stuff, okay? Everybody, any questions on VFX? No questions on VFX? Okay, awesome. Let's do some basic sound stuff. Minimize the editor. Go into YouTube. Alright, we are going to add some sounds to the game. Alright, now in order to do that, we need to make sure your volume is up on your computer. We did this before when we played Voodoo Escape. Click the Windows key on your computer, type sound. You're looking for sound in the control panel. Sound in the control panel.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Alright, so when the sound thing comes up in the control panel, you want to set it to your monitor. I believe mine's set.
I don't want to set it to my monitor.
Okay, you don't want to do that. Just follow along.
Alright.
And then use your Windows key. Make sure it is set. Or put in headphones. Whatever you want to do, but probably. So on the far right hand side, there's a little volume thing. Click that. Make sure you can hear the sound on this computer. If anybody needs help, ask the person sitting next to you. Except for you, sir, because no one's sitting next to you. You're just stuck.
Set it to default. I go back to sound. Control panel. Sound. Set default. Just set default. Well, I like to skip on. Don't click on set default. Okay, now check now.
What the? Terms of service? I don't care.
We're gonna get sued.
Alright. On YouTube, this is what we're looking for. Super Mario Brothers jump sound effect. Find that. Super Mario Brothers jump sound effect. Everyone's played Mario here in some way, shape, or form. If you haven't, shame on you. Super Mario jump down effect.
10 hours.
Why would you drive yourself mad like that?
10 hours. Everyone synchronized players at the same time. On 3, everybody.
Alright.
3.
Alright, so at the top there's a path. The browser path here. Right click, copy that. Then open a new tab in Google, and I want you to search for YouTube to WAV. YouTube to WAV.
Hi everyone, this is Abigail from VFX. In this tutorial,
Alright, so there's a ton of these websites, and they like, I guess, you want to find one that works. This second one works here. This looks like it works. YouTube to WAV. You paste in your link here and convert the video, and you have a variety of different options you can download. I guess grab that MP4 or WEBM. I don't know what that is. I've never heard of it. But I'm just going to try it, I guess. And then launch a program on your desktop called Adobe Audition.
You done doing sound?
We're doing sound.
Since when we do sound?
Since we're changing things.
Sammy doesn't do this sound?
Yeah, since Sammy doesn't do a sound.
The MP4.
Yeah, download one of them that works. I just did that WEBM one because it looked like the highest quality, or never mind, don't do that. Do MP4. God. Save video as. Find a way to save it, and then drag it into Adobe Audition. I was able to. This one worked. MP4. Download, and then when you download it, right-click on it, save as. Alright, so once you get it into Adobe Audition, you can drag it into you should be able to drag it. There you go. You drag it over here, and there's the wave. Okay? Alright, I want to see everybody's screen like this. Open Adobe Audition, pull it in to where I see the wave file.
How did you open that?
So, up in the upper left here, actually you can just go File Open and open that file, and then you can drag it into the editor over here. Who needs help? Anybody stuck? Okay, whoever's doing that. No. No, no, no. Alright, Alright, you can tap your space bar and it'll play the song. And you can tap your space bar again and it will stop. Okay. Now, one of the things I want you guys to do, right now we have some space at the beginning and a lot of space at the end. We need to crop this sound. So if you drag and drop over the sound, it will select it like so. See that? Select your sound and then go up to Edit Crop. Edit Crop. Now, this is a very hard start for this. It trails off at the end, which is good. But what I want you to do is make this a little bit of an easier start. At the top left of the sound, you'll see a little square that's got some white and some black. If you click and hold on that and drag it, it allows you to like create this curve, which will allow you to blend in blend the sound in a little bit more. You see what I'm doing here? We don't want it to be such a hard in. We want it to be an ease in. Does that make sense? Look at what I'm doing up here. See how I'm adjusting this curve?
Mario goes hard.
Yeah, Mario does go hard, but with this particular thing, we're going to adjust it easy, okay? So we want an easy in on this, not such a hard in. So grab that little box and do that. You can do that for the front and the end of the animation to smooth out and smooth in your sound. And typically it's very unpleasant to have hard ins on everything. You always want to kind of ease in on stuff. Unless it's like a punch animation or something. I'm sorry, a punch sound. Alright, so for anybody that's interested in sounds, Unreal takes sounds very specifically, so we need to make sure we export them correctly. There is an audio system overview here. Okay, all I did was Google Unreal 4 audio system overview, and you have it here. And here are the import settings. Okay, right now it's going to take WAV file at a bit rate of 16 with these types of channels. Okay, so the main thing we need to remember is WAV and 16-bit. All right, so let's export this sound. So File, Export, File, File, Export, File. Let's call this Jump. And right now, as you can see, everything looks fine except it's at 32-bit. 32-bit, alright? We need to change that to 16-bit. Yeah, so where it says sample type, to the right of sample type, there's a change feature. There's something that says bit depth. Change that to 16, and then click OK. Bit depth. And go ahead and save that to the desktop, and click Save. Alright. Now, under Content, make a new folder in Unreal called Sounds. And in that folder, drag and drop your sound right in. Under Content in Unreal, make a new folder called Sounds and drag your sound right in. Alright. You can hit play on it in Unreal and it will give you a little sample. If you move away from the play button and double click, it brings up a bunch of options here. You can adjust the pitch, the volume. Sometimes if you have the same sound over and over and over and over again, like a punch, you can change the pitch, and you can like duplicate it 3 times and like change the pitch of each, so it sounds like a little bit of a different punch every time. So it's not the same punch sound over and over again. There's looping options in here, a bunch of sound options, okay? Now another thing is, a lot of the times we need to create a cue file for a sound. So right click on that sound file and do create cue. And then you can double click that cue file, and it allows you to do a bunch of different sound blueprint options. So like for complex sound stuff, you use a sound cue. Alright, so let's go ahead and add this jump sound to our character. Okay. Alright, so select the character in the game. Drag and drop. Alright, select the character, and on the right hand side where it says mesh, double click the picture of the character. Alright, now click on animation. And we are going to add this sound to the jump animation. So go ahead and find the jump animation, which is going to be your jump start. Find the jump animation, which is going to be your jump start. And where it says notify, you can hit play, pause for now so it doesn't play the animation over and over again. You want to scroll to the time where he's about to jump. He's about to leave the ground. It's like frame 3. And up at the top where it says notifies, right click on that and click add notify, new notify. Add notify, new notify. And I'm gonna wait about 15 seconds for you guys to catch up to me, okay? I know I'm moving fast. We're almost done here. This is the last thing that we're gonna do. Look up at the screen here.
There's nothing here.
Right click on notify. Make sure you're on a jump animation. Help each other, guys, please. If you need help, ask for it. On the gray bar at the top that says notifies.
Yeah, we're naming it jump, correct?
Yeah, jump. Go ahead and add that notify. Call it jump, and now you have a notify, and you can drag this notify to anywhere in the animation. And interesting. Okay, right click on the notify, and down at the bottom you see replace with notify, play sound. Replace with notify, play sound. Okay. So then you can click the notify, and there's a little drop down in the upper right, change that to the jump sound. And you can either make that a sound or a cue. Typically, you want to control sounds with cues. Okay. Now, we also want to add another notify, but this time add a particle effect and put it at the same place. And let's give it like a explosion. So just choose any explosion. This one's cool. P_explosion. Use that one. P_explosion. So make a new notify. That's a particle effect. So all you do is you right click, add notify, play as particle effect. Or play sound, okay? So then when you're done, click save, go back to the game and test it. And now when he runs and jumps, plays a jump sound and an explosion. So when you have animations and you can add sounds in VFX to animations. Any questions on that, you guys? Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, right?